Luminar Spring update and what is new is our topic today on Luminar Coffee Break. Let's see what we can accomplish in 15 minutes or less, starting now. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm extremely excited. I can talk to you guys about it now on what is new with the Spring update. Notice I said update and not upgrade. So we've already talked about this before, where the updates are free. Upgrades, of course, is where you pay extra for. Well, this is proof, once again, that the team is never satisfied with the quality of the stuff that we want. They're always happy, but they always want to make our tools even better. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Which tools and which new features are added that are going to make your editing workflow that much better. And I'm really excited about it. Now, here's the thing. If you haven't updated in over a year, now is the time. Now is the time to do that, to do the upgrade, because what you'll do is you'll get all of the previous new features and stuff, and including this new update, you'll get all of that included into it. So let me dive right in. Now, before I go into what we're actually going to do, let me show you this first. So this is what I do want to talk to you guys about. I want to start out with, we're going to talk about Skin AI. Then from there, we're going to talk about what's new with Face AI. Then we're going to talk about Mask and Feather. This is something everyone just kept wanting to have. The engineers figured this out, how you have more control with the masking and feathering feature. And then last, bokeh AI. You know, I've always loved the bokeh AI because it was part of the portrait tools. The team heard what everyone was saying. They were saying, well, why can't we do this with pets and with other objects? The team did that, and those are going to be the topics we're going to talk about. But let me give you a quick scenario on how I use it, like in my workflow. Now, I've already told you guys before, my sister came to visit. Here I am, here she is with her love of her life, MJ. We did a photo shoot. So think about this. Here's this, my sister, she's changed my diaper since she was 5 years old. How could I not be excited to do this shoot for her? And it was exciting. So I did the shoot, tethered my camera to my phone, dumped these images onto my phone while we sat there eating lunch. We did some edits like the black and white ones. I love these. We did these black and white edits. They were just absolutely amazing. Then she said, well, Robbie, can't you just edit the rest of them? My sister does not have the patience that my mother had, but she has all the other characteristics and the treats, so it was cool. I did that in front of her. Then when I got home, I brought it into Luminar Neo, and guess what? I continued with my edits, and we went from there. How neat is that? That type of work. So imagine we're on vacation, and I wish Carl was here. Now, I wish we had this back when we were in Iceland. We would have taken more portraits and selfies of us into the scene of the beautiful Icelandic areas. Now, yes, the weather didn't cooperate all the time, so we did have to edit the images. But could you imagine us standing around with this beautiful landscape or iceberg behind us? We take the shot, Carl, Jim Nix, myself, and the rest of the whole team, and then just edit it on your phone. Now, what was really cool about this with my sister is I sent her the images. By the time she got back to her resort, she was editing them on her own with Luminar Mobile. That's a cool fit. Now, as the director of education, I'm excited that our software can do it. As her little brother, I'm a little flustered because now she doesn't need me anymore. She could do it all on her own. And then what I also did, which was really neat, is, let me see if I have it right here for you. And I do. Right there. I did create a photo album with the new spaces. So instead of me having to send these individually to my nieces, my nephews, my brother, my sister-in-laws, I just gave them that link right here. Share. Here's the link. Copy it. texted to all of them. They got to see the same images that we were working with. So again, on your next vacation, your next trip, don't overlook how you could use published spaces, because I think that was just a major game changer in my view. All right. So now that I have all that set, and let me get back to my Luminar. There we go. What I do want to talk to you guys about is we'll first talk about skin AI. All right. Now, in the old days, before my time, photographers would put a little Vaseline on the lenses, a little terry cloth, and that's how they would remove, blemishes. I came along, yes, I used a makeup artist. If you can't afford a makeup artist, that's where digital editing came out, and that's why Photoshop was huge back in the day. But it was for graphic artists, not for us photographers. The learning curve was off. It was cool in the beginning when we were able to remove blemishes. I'll use this one down here. Here's one of my favorite ones. All right. I'll use this one right here. It was cool. We used to make sounds. Bip, 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 bip. Every time we removed the blemish. At first it was cool, but honestly, after a while, it got old and boring. This is where AI comes in. AI is not here to replace us as photographers. It's here to make the mundane task much easier. So here we are with Skin AI. All right. Well, I'm going to come down here to blemish removal. Look at this. That one slider, I'm going to use that. It's processing it. It's analyzing it. And the neat thing about this, because it's AI, the next image I copy and paste this to, it doesn't matter if it's a male or a female. It doesn't matter if it's a child or an adult. It reanalyzes. So look at this. Before, after. Now, here's the key. Just because we can make their skin look flawless doesn't mean we should. Respect the integrity of the person. If you go overboard and the person's mother can't recognize them, you went way too far. Control. And I'm so proud that our team has implemented that into the system. But yes, you could exit out of the skin and then enter it again and just keep going until the person's skin looks like a porcelain doll. Please use it respectfully with the subject. But look at this. Now I am going to add just a little bit of the skin smoothing on her face. Now this is a new feature right here. Body smoothing. Oh, I can't tell you as a portrait photographer how much that means to me. Now I'm going to just add this for now, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But in the past, you used to have this beautiful skin, and it fixed it, but then the neck, the arms, it didn't look real. You had to go back through and manually adjust that. Now, it did save you a lot of time. This saves even more time. Now, I added it because, right click, we're going to create we're going to copy the adjustments. I can create a preset for this later, but I added that in there because I wanted to make sure the other images I added to, if there's body skin, I want this to improve it. All right. And by the way, while I'm at it, you know what? I am going to do the skin shine removal, and this image is not nearly as bad. And I might as well continue. I'm going to go to Face AI for a moment. On here, I love her eyes. And look, they're off on an angle, but that's okay. I am going to add just a little light to her face. Not to an extreme, but just a touch. I don't need to slim her face. She looks great as it is. Here it is, the iris flare. I'm going to add a little catch light underneath the eye. And then, of course, enhance the eyes. All right, let's see if it makes a difference. Before, look at that. After, here's the big, big, big improvement. It was always good. Now it's phenomenal. I'm going to take the dark circles under the eyes, because look at this. Right here, in fact, let's zoom in a little bit. Ready? Now again, just because we can, I'll go to an extreme. Just because we can do this, we shouldn't. All right? I am going to make it to where it's noticeable, but I don't want it so fake. Like that, to me, that just looks totally fake. All right? I am going to bring it back just a little bit. Right about there we go. Now, look, it's still an improvement. Now, as a photographer, they should have bounced a little light up underneath the person. And when they do that, that's where you get rid of those dark patches. That could be one. The model could have been exhausted. Or they maybe have their eyes are just reset a little bit further in. That's a natural, my goddaughter has that. It's just a natural underneath the eyes dark patches. This fixes all that. And look, I'm going to show you again. Ready? Before, after. Look how it's there. It doesn't look fake. Again, to me, that's fake. Bring it back a bit. Right about there. Now I got it. Now let's do adjustment. And I'm going to copy the adjustments. And look at this. Let's go to, you know what? Let's go to this one here because you saw this. Adjustment and paste. All right, because you saw this in the title card. Now, it's going to put it in. And we'll know that it applied an edit to it when you see this little icon right here. That means it's been edited. All right? I applied it to this one. Yes, it's going to take a little while for it to enhance it. Now, if I just did the skin, it's one thing, but I did the face, I did the eyes, I did the skin softening, I also did the blemish removal. AI is doing a lot of work here for us. This is the stuff we would have to do on our own, and it's boring. Here, you can apply it to the entire sets of the images, and then it's going to apply it in maybe a minute or 2 minutes, and then you move on. Here, let me just go back up. There it is. All right, so you can see that it's applied. Let's go up here to the guy. All right, I'm going to do the same thing. Let me bring him in. Right click. Now notice the reason why I did the face or the skin for the body is his neck is showing. So I do want that to apply to it. Now, it's going to take time. Now remember, I'm running Zoom. I'm running a program called vMix. There's a lot of stuff that's pulling on this resource. When you do this at home on your own, make sure you shut down any excess programs, anything that just lags your computer, shut those down. But look at this. Look how great that came out. Now, I am going to come over here to edit. And let's see Andrew. All right, so let's do this. Edit. And notice the previous that we did, the previous tools we used are right there. Edits, think of edits as your history. So that's our history. Now, he's a man. I don't want to take his skin that soft. I still want to add a little more texture to his skin. So in this case, quality control comes in. Apply the edit, batch process. So let's say there's 40 images here. Apply it to all 40 of them, then go back in for quality control and edit it. Or you can say, I'm going to make one preset for men, one preset for women. That's entirely up to you. But in this case here, I am going to bring back his face a little bit smoother, less. And here we are. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Here's his skin up in here. And notice it's still processing. Give it a moment. And once it's there, you'll see the difference with this body smoothing. Before, here it is. Now look at his neck after. See that slight change? To me, that's realistic. If you take it to 100%, again, like on the neck like this, especially for a man, if you had razor stubble and stuff like that, it'll respect it, but it's also going to make it a lot softer. So in this case, is body smoothing, I just want a little bit. I just want it to blend, and notice the skin now matches the face and the body. All right? So that was a big, big, big feature that the team added. They improved the blemish removal, and then they add the body smoothing. So those were the two big achievements into the portrait side. Now, I got another one I can't wait to show you. And this, we'll do a complete edit in a moment. I'm going to come over here. We'll talk about Benny in a moment. Let's come in here. So a lot of us have been asking the team for a new masking feature. We like to feather, more control of our mask. And that's what I'm going to show you here. But first I want to show you the new portrait bokeh. So I've always had it because I'm a portrait photographer. I love doing it in all my portraits. I do use a 2.8 millimeter or 2.8 lens, the Sigma art lens. It gives beautiful bokeh into the background. But what happens when you're not dealing with an expensive lens? This is where you rely on the bokeh in here. Now, here it is. We're going to come under the portrait. Bokeh AI is no longer strictly for portraits anymore. We could use it for this shot here. You know, at first, I saw this, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wish I took it. It's a nice artistic shot. Well, let's go to an extreme so you can see what it's doing. Look what it just did with the focal. It found it. Now watch. It's going to allow me, look at this, to adjust it. I'm going to go to an extreme just so you can see it. And then right here is where we have our bokeh shapes or our patterns. So these are the geometric shapes that you're going to find with very, very like expensive lenses. This is the one mine usually does, the octagon. All right. So now that you can see what it's doing, well, let's dial it back a bit. I like it right about here. That's good. And I'm going to dial this back just a bit. Beautiful. Look at that. Now comes the masking. All right. I do want to bring out the one-way sign more. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to say, you know what? Erase the effect. Erase the effect on the sign. Go a little bit lower. And over here, because I do want that to stand out a little bit more, and I want this to stand out a little bit more. All right, so I erased it. Now, mask actions. And by the way, this is closed by default. I wish it would just stay open. I'm going to show what the mask looks like. So there's what the mask is. All right, here we go. Hold on to your seats. Feathering and shifting the edges. All right, I know a lot of my portrait photographers and friends are really excited about this. But look, I'm going to go to an extreme again. And notice what it's doing. Ready? Look how it's shifting the edge. So I can be more precise. Once I created the mask, now I can feather that mask. And look, now that's predominant. Here's before, which I still think this was a great image. But look how we're just adding that little extra to it. And because it's all non-destructive, look at this. I can still come back in and make additional changes. I just think that this adds a new degree right there of artistic side. And then, of course, let's say, all right, here's my little buddy, Benny. All right, so I met Benny when I was out at TNF. We were just out, and here's this beautiful little dog coming in. The dog was a rescue dog. I didn't have a wide-angle lens with me, and I did an episode on Coffee Break on this. So I just pointed my camera down, 24 millimeter, snapped the shot. I did make sure that the background, I had the background that looked decent. Because where we were, there was just a lot of different things that were very distracting. But here, again, I'm going to come over. I did do, here we are, before and after. Ready? So here's the original. Give it a moment. So there's a lot of changes to this. And then I applied that bokeh AI, and I'll show you where that comes in. So ready? So here I am. Here's the bokeh. Get out of the way. Because the background was too sharp. So by using the bokeh, look, not only was I able to add those little geometric shapes and patterns, and I'm not sure if you quite see it direct. There you go. So look, it's there, and just that subtleness to bring the attention back to the dog, which has a name, sorry, Benny, which brings it back to Benny. And then, of course, just add a couple extra features to it. From here, let's see if I have the original. So from this image here, we'll get to it. Let's see if I'm going to grab it. So, and it took me maybe, what, 5-6 minutes? But that was my vision. My vision was, I wish I had a wide angle lens. Since I didn't, let's use the tools of Luminar Neo to give me that wide angle distortion type look that I'm going for. And then I use the geometric shapes and patterns to process it for me to get to, there we go. So this is what I had. That's a far cry from this. And what was cool about this, it was spur of the moment. The person we went to go visit, for my friend Bart, did him a little favor, or he did her, yeah, she did him a favor. I did this. Bart printed this as a 16 by 20 print. You would have thought you just gave her the world's greatest Christmas present. But that's the power of our photography. Don't photograph what you see. Photograph what you imagine it to be, and that's what these tools are doing. All right? Now, let me get to one last part here for you. This image here. All right. It looks good. It's good. All right? We want to make it better. But at the same time, we want to keep the integrity of the image. So I do. In this case here, I have no problem going to develop and let it give me a suggestion. Look at that. Be perfect. Before, after, it did a great job. I could still come in, tweak it just a little bit, right about here. Great. Now, let's see. All right, so the person's using natural light. I don't see a real predominant flash on it. So let's come down here to the portrait tools. And I do want to just bounce a little more light in her face. Not craziness, just a little. And her eyes. She has beautiful eyes. I just want to enhance them a little more. Now, in this case, I'm going to leave the original eyes. If the eyes were too dark, a lot of times I'll come in and just add just a touch of her original color. Now, again, not to an extreme. Bring it back just a bit. But I love her. I love the original eyes. I'm going to keep it. I just love how it's looking. Now, here we are with the dark circles. Again, here's an extreme. That's way too much. Let's dial it back. Right about there. Just a touch. All right, and while I'm here, I do want to darken the lips just a little bit. Now, keep in mind, as a portrait photographer, yes, I have a makeup artist on set. They do this for me. But let's say we're on a vacation. I don't have a makeup artist. I know Dal and Carl who help me here. I know that when I travel with them, I always have a makeup artist on set for them. But you're not going to always have one. It's good to know that we could do it here. Now that we have just the over, in fact, let's see before and after. Here's the original. Notice we're making slight changes. Now let's go to her skin. All right, from here, I am going to smooth the skin, but I want to respect some of these freckles and stuff. So small face smoothing. Any blemishes, just a few. And then, of course, a little shine removal. I don't need to do anything with the body because she's fine here. But let's look at the difference. Before, after, look how we're bringing. So we went from a good image to this. Now, I do want to draw her out away from the background a little bit more. That's where the bokeh AI comes in. Go to an extreme so you can see it again. I like the geometric, I'm prejudiced towards the, to this pattern. But look, let's just go to an extreme so you can see it. That's craziness. Right about, and if you did want the craziness, which I don't recommend, you could mask her in. But I'm going to go right about here. So I do have enough of the blur. Yeah, there we go. Look how it's bringing her back out. Look how that little touch right from here to here took maybe maybe they shot this 5.6. Maybe they shot it at f8. Maybe they shot it, with a little more of a closed lens. now it's giving me the look that I shot it with a 2.8, or I shot it with that nice, sharp, crisp portrait lens. So once again, we went from this, which again is good, to this, and then of course we can continue with some other extra edits, and we'll have it all set. All right? So that's the new update, and I'm so excited that we have it. What I do want to share with you is this right here. Where do we find more information? In fact, let me get to this real quick. So we did this, and what I want to share with you is extra resources for education. I'm not the only one teaching this. We have a wealth of information with a lot of our affiliates and our friends that are teaching it. Here are some right here. Take a screenshot of this. Additional resources. Now, the first two, I will be doing a follow-up from the day I was at TNF Camera, where I went to TNF and I taught portrait lighting. We're doing a follow-up session from there. Angie Birmingham, you know, I've talked many times about her. Incredible photographer. The work she does with children is just amazing. I'm going to do a class on, right here again, where is it? Organizing from chaos. That's it, from chaos to organizing your workflow. I'll be doing a class with them. And then the bottom ones, we have Angie again with her workshops. Hazel Meredith and her own Holly Lipton will be teaching for her coming up at this particular workshop, which is online. And then you have TNF, and of course, like I mentioned, Angie. So a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge for education. And don't forget, when you log on to your Skylum account, right there it says education. Click on it. You'll see a bunch of other tools you can do and to get better to learning this. Number one is go out and have fun. Take your camera, just plan a day, have a blast. But now you have these new tools in your arsenal. Use them. And like I said, if you haven't, oh, sorry, right here. Let me get back to it. If you haven't, I don't have it right here. I'm so sorry. I was going to give you the link, but go to skylum.com. If you haven't updated or upgraded in over a year, now is the time to do it. Just simple, look at your Luminar Neo. If it doesn't have the restoration features or some of the tools I showed you, it means you have a much older version, which is fine. It's better now than it was the first day you bought it. That is what's so cool about when you make a commitment and invest in your education and knowledge with Luminar Neo. It just stays with you. It grows with you. All right? So check that out. Now, if you're here, please stick around for the Ask Me Anything segment. For everyone else, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.